thought I'd come on here and give you guys a July garden tour. We are at the peak of summer. We've got about another month before the kids go back to school, technically a little less than that. So my time is limited to be on here. It's been a while since I've posted a video. I'm going to get better about that. I'm really trying to stick with my typical schedule, which is one video a week. That has been really, really hard here in the middle of summer. I've got kids home. I've got other stuff going on. But you can see the hydrangea out front is in full bloom. Finally, I feel like I've been waiting months for this thing to bloom. Once I saw buds, I mean, it didn't take long at all to start seeing these lovely, luscious, big, poofy white blooms on here. These, of course, will turn their colors to a bit more of a muted pink, a blush pink. But yeah, I thought today would be a good opportunity. I just put on a dress and said, let's do it. I'm just going to take you guys through the front garden beds, the backyard garden beds, and a little teaser towards the end. I'll tell you about a task that I'm really avoiding, that I hope the process of avoiding it is actually beneficial to some of the local wildlife, but we'll get into that at the end of the video. For right now, I'm going to show you what's going on in my front planters, some of my perennials. I'm seeing some nice growth with those as well. This here is one of two of my planters out in the front on my stoop, and we've got these, what is this? Okay. So we've got some gorgeous ballerina zinnias here. I got these seeds from Johnny's. We've got our bachelor button, which the birds I've noticed have really been loving munching on these spent flower heads. So I'm just going to keep those on for now. But the ones that are in full bloom are this nice, pretty bluish purple color. I absolutely love that flower. I've grown a ton of it from seed this year too. So we've also got Calibrachoa down here. Creeping Jenny is starting to spill out over these containers. And also up here, I've got my catmint that I've been propagating from my two catmint plants, Nepeta up front. I want to have a bunch of these. All said and done, I want to have like 15 in the same area to create a nice catmint drift, because I think it's such a great perennial and it's so easy to propagate from root cuttings. So I've got that. Let's see what else. I've got my butterfly bush that I don't know exactly where to put in the landscape. I'm thinking maybe in the backyard. And I've got some... I hate when I do this. I hate when I space on what this is. Not dianthus, it's the other one. I'll think of it and I'll write it down below. But this is the one that is so hard to grow from seed that I'm so happy I gave it a bigger pot. And the leaves are looking really good on here. I'm actually keeping it over here on this area where I can check at it all the time at the front of my house, which gets full sun. So I'm thinking that'll help propel its growth. Sometimes I go off my tripod here because it just makes for a faster video. So I've got some hydrangea here that has done really well. Took that from cuttings. Something peeking off in the corner, coral bells. Boxwood is starting to flesh out and look a little bit healthier. I've got my peony here. Of course, that's done with its bloom season. It never bloomed, but this I'm growing from a root. I got some more hydrangea I took from cuttings. Hydrangea over there as well. Dusty Miller looking beautiful. That overwintered well in the ground. I've got a gorgeous Japanese maple. This one's very slow growing. This is Crimson Queen. I did add some pine bark mulch here that I'm hoping will help to retain moisture. But I have not seen as much growth on this as I have from the Bloodgood. I do believe typically the lace leaf maple varieties are a little bit slower to grow. Feel free to correct me on that if you know otherwise. Of course, the Bee Balm Monarda is looking beautiful. I bought this at a fall plant sale. They do have those coming up in September, by the way. I know the Boone County Arboretum has one at Ammon Nursery. Check their website to see more on that. This is native goldenrod that just seeded itself. I really like how that looks. I may end up regretting having that. Hopefully not. This one is the chokeberry that also self-seeded itself. More bachelor button. My blue fescue is doing pretty well. This has had a rough couple of seasons, but it's doing better. Also, some other grasses. This is grandma grass. I bought that at a Lowe's, I believe, on clearance. Rose bush, seeing a couple of blooms on that. And then here's my salvia that I did cut back mid-season. It is kind of slow to rebloom, but I'm hoping, you know, as we get into the latter part of the summer, it'll do better. Here's that catmint that I took the cuttings from. I want to get this whole area full of catmint. Of course, that's something you can put in the front of your border, which means at the front of your garden bed because it's so short. Got some zinnia I've been growing in the ground. Those haven't gotten as tall as I would hope, being that they're in the ground, but started these from seed. Also that Johnny's variety. I've got some ivy here in a pot. I'm going to definitely keep that in its pot and not let it go here on the ground because it will start to grow into the ground. So I'm trying to keep that well contained. And I actually have a sunflower growing in the middle here. This here is clematis, which is not looking great. This is the one lone leaf I have left on this clematis. Can't remember the variety. I know it's purple. I got it at Home Depot, I believe. And that's the part of the root. So I don't know what's going on with that, but hopefully it'll bounce back, but I could lose it. I've got my yarrow here, which is native to our area. It is a beautiful perennial that's got some spent flower heads here and new growth coming in the middle. That is a great pollinator friendly plant and it is just really gorgeous. I really, really like it. And there you can get a wider view of our stoop and my containers, which definitely have a wild, kind of unique look, I think. Got some hosta peeking in back there. And these hosta are looking really, really good. And you can see, or not hosta, I'm sorry. What is that? Okay. I know this. Yeah, it's coleus. I make sure that I have it every year because the hummingbirds like these flower blooms. I do have some marigold tucked back in there along with some more of that plant, which name is escaping me, which is crazy. Some more bachelor's button, a little bit lighter purple violet variety, and that gorgeous, gorgeous zinnia. And this is full sun garden bed right here. This is the one I extended. I've got to get it mulched. But the Gara is loving its life here in this full sun. Right there. You can see all those gorgeous, gorgeous pink blooms. That is some type of evergreen. I can't think of the name. I think it's a juniper sea green. That's it. Juniper sea green, Arentium, sea holly, phlox. These little Russian sages, they've not really taken off, but you can see there are some flower blooms. So I don't know if this spot gets too much water for them or what. And then, of course, I'm waiting here for some type of tree, maybe a magnolia or something. Cone flowers, looking gorgeous. And Rudbeckia, also known as Black-Eyed Susan, just started to bloom out this week. And this is that viburnum I have here. We're going to walk around to the other south-facing garden bed, which is just looking lush and green with some scanthus grass here, some rose here, Arentium sea holly. This is the quickfire hydrangea, which has turned pinkish, like a beautiful pinkish color from white. There's the other quickfire. This is a seed mix. I can't think of where I bought that one from. It might have been the taller store, honestly. That has poppy in it, I know. Obedience, which I'm hoping will get really tall and be a beautiful pollinator-friendly plant here with purple blooms to hopefully hide all these utility boxes. Another hydrangea here that's a smooth, I believe. And look at that beautiful sea holly, which is starting to bloom. Isn't that unique looking? I saw this in a bouquet that somebody had bought me. And I thought, I'm going to grow some of this and put in bouquets and things. It's gorgeous. And I love the leaves. They almost look like, it's like a big, healthy salad, doesn't it? But yeah, the blooms are just so spectacular. And certain varieties of Arentium are native to our area, northern Kentucky. Walking around here to the backyard. This is my vegetable garden. It's full of tomatoes and weeds and spinach and arugula, although at this point I think it's more weeds than anything, truly. But I've seen a couple of tomatoes. Nothing that I've harvested yet. And there's some strawberries, I believe, back there, but nothing that I've harvested. So the little critters can enjoy what's back there. And this is kind of an interesting area where I've got some of my plant starts. I believe this is called euonymus. I'm not sure. I took it from cuttings from somebody's garden. Aster. What is this? Why do I keep forgetting? This video is so awkward because I can't remember the name of something that I have everywhere. It's not hosta. It's... Oh, anyway, this is called candy tuft. That's pretty. I'm going to get that planted out somewhere. I think that's just grass that I have growing for no particular reason. Again, with the snapdragons, bachelor button, they've kind of taken a little bit of a slowdown. This is that beautiful Biltmore blue pine and a bloodgood maple. This has shown a lot of growth. This is all new growth right here. Just in the last month, ever since I moved it into a little bit more shade. I've still got it in its nursery pot with some pine mulch on top. But yeah, I mean, protecting it from too much afternoon sun has been great for this maple. Here's another maple that I have. This one is a red dragon, which I love. I love these. And a little volunteer sunflower, or no, spinach growing at the bottom. I don't know how spinach leaves ended up in there. Probably jumped from the vegetable garden. But yeah, that one also in its nursery pot. I'm going to let it hang out, let it get a little more growth, and maybe put it in the ground. I'm not sure. Now this has been a problem plant for me, the sweet peas. Actually, right as they started to bloom, I noticed aphids all over this. So little black insects. I have been putting neem oil on this at night and then also spraying with a water hose with high pressure. So we'll see if that resolves it. These are a couple of plants that I still need to get in the ground. They've just been in their pots for a long time. Forsythia and Arctic fire dogwood. Potentially going over here with the dappled willow. I'm hoping to make a garden bed here. And then my trees have, of course, shown great growth. There's the pines. And the arborvitae's starting to fill in, starting to get big. I've got my asparagus fern out here, which is usually a house plant, but it is really liking its little outdoor vacation. This is that indoor azalea, which is loving its life outside as well. And these are the asters in the window box and that other plant I'm having such trouble with today. But I hope these will give me some nice blooms and attract some hummingbirds, because I know this one in particular likes to attract hummingbirds in this location. So I think once they bloom, hopefully, fingers crossed, that'll happen. And these here, a couple of plant starts that I took from propagated cuttings. Salvia in here. And then also Coreopsis, which I'm really excited about potentially growing. That appears to be dead, so I'm going to throw that out. Yep, Coreopsis, a nice native perennial in our area. And then lavender, which has been entirely too slow growing. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I want to get this fertilized. It's stayed alive this whole time, growing it from seed back in February, but it's just not taken off at all. This one is another one that I forget. The name starts with an M. I have to put the name down there, but it's doing well. I've got some yellowing of some leaves, so may need a little bit of fertilizing. I don't think it's getting too much sun necessarily. This is some more snapdragon. And this pencil sky holly has done really well here in this pot, and we've seen a ton of growth up here at the top. I am just keeping busy with trying to deadhead things to keep them in bloom, continual bloom throughout the rest of the season into fall, because it just brings me joy and it's very relaxing. I've been doing a lot of picking weeds. On that subject, I've got a big old weed pile back here under the pine trees, and I am just putting it off, going after it, because there's poison ivy in there, and that's a whole process. And I've got my kids, and it's just really hard to find the time to dedicate. You have to wear gloves, all that good stuff. So I've been putting that off, but I need to get to it. But in the meantime, I've got the little bunny rabbits and squirrels that are very happy to eat on the salad bar in the back under the trees. So that's been fun to watch, of course. And it just makes me feel better about, quite honestly, being pretty lazy with regards to that particular task. I'd much rather be out taking cuttings, propagating, that sort of thing, so I can keep my supply of plants going into next season. Because what do we all do as gardeners? Yeah, we think long term. We think 2, 3, 6 months ahead. I know I do in my head. So those are the particular tasks I'd much rather be doing than going and clearing out the weeds, for sure. We did stop chemical treatment of our lawn. I will say I've noticed a lot of weeds, and it's been a problem. So I'm currently looking into, how to tackle that particular issue. I definitely make sure before we go out of town or anything that I pull all the weeds before they set their blooms, because once that happens and they go to seed, it's game over. That's when things really spread and become a problem. That's what I did last year, and I'm definitely regretting not having pulled and cut down some of those weeds before they, just went all over the place all throughout my yard. So the aphid issue, if anybody has any feedback or helpful comments, hey, feel free. I'm open to that, to knowing what in particular you do for it. I mean, I'm definitely going after it with a high pressure jet water powered hose. Water powered, you know what I mean. Of course it's water powered. And the neem oil, it seems to be okay. I guess from what I've read online, you have to do that consistently for a few days for it to really work. I've done it 2 days. But that plant is just looking so unhealthy, and it's such a bummer. Because right as I was starting to get nice, beautiful purple sweet pea blooms, the aphid issue happened. So I'm hoping it won't spread. I've taken my other plants and I've tried to give them some space, so that won't be a problem for those other plants as well. But we'll see. My north-facing garden bed where I have a bunch of wild strawberry, I really like that look, and it's a good ground cover, but I know it's a weed, and eventually it may choke out my hydrangeas and my hostas in that bed. If you have any insight into that, also feel free to let me know. But right now, I've been able to lay off the watering of a lot of the garden beds, not the container plants, but the garden beds themselves, because we have had quite a bit of rain, and we've been in the 80s, so it's been hot, but not terrible. It does look like we've got another heat wave coming. So as I'm releasing this video, we're going to start getting back into the 90s again. So I'm going to keep my eye on my plant starts, especially in my garden beds, and water those as needed. There is a big plant sale. I wanted everybody to know in September. Some of the proceeds go to the Boone County Arboretum. I'm in Boone County, Kentucky. I will get a date for you up on the screen, because I don't want to say the wrong date here off the top of my head. But definitely plan to check that out. A lot of great, plant vendors, nursery vendors, also some educational opportunities that talk about local pests that we have in our area. Spotted lanternfly, I know, has been seen and confirmed in Boone County. Now, we also have deer pressure. I don't talk about that quite a bit on this channel because it hasn't been so much of an issue, but I will say this point in the summer it is. I mean, the little baby fawns are so sweet. They're so cute. But we definitely have at least one deer family out here roaming the area. I think that a lot of things I've planted are not deer proof, but just aren't as tasty to the deer. I think they've taken a nibble off some things and haven't come back. So I've been happy that hasn't been too much of a problem. Just be mindful of that when you're planting your ears, especially in suburban parts of town with some development going on, which we have here, that could be an issue. But just let me know what you've got going on in your garden. What are the big gardening tasks you've been tackling lately? And are you thinking about the fall like I am? I feel like ever since July 4th came and went, I have been thinking about fall and what's going to be blooming at that time. I think I've got a nice succession garden going here, so I am able to enjoy all seasons. I think my front garden bed I struggle with the most because I've got a dappled shade situation that gets really hot because it's southwest facing. So that's probably my biggest challenge in terms of just unpredictability and figuring out, at in what season will what particular flowers bloom, because a lot of us like to always have blooming flowers. Of course, you've got to have that good contrasting foliage. That's important as well. So I'm still torn on a tree to put out in the front. Please let me know if trees you guys like. I like magnolias. I've thought about putting the Japanese maple out there, but these Japanese maples that I've bought, I've been kind of, testing them to see, and I just don't know if they can handle our full sun. I know we're just in 6B and they should be able to, but I don't know. I think depending on your particular microclimate, you just have to figure out what works best. So I don't know if a Japanese maple is going to work, unfortunately, but I may do a magnolia. I don't know. Do you have any experience with that particular tree? I don't know what, variety I want. You guys take it easy. Enjoy your summer, the weeks that remain of it, right before the kiddos go back to school. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.